So at this point you should have your four corners all welded up, ground off. On all four of your corners you should have all your stake pockets in and ground off. If you're going to be adding bed rails, if you added the stake pockets, that should all be done. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move on to building the flatbed cab guard, the headache rack part up here. I'm up here at the front of the bed. So turn to your, or refer to your blueprint. It's going to be the section that's titled Cut List Flatbed Cab Guard. And it's going to have a diagram with pieces A, B, C, and D, and also E. So we're going to need to cut out pieces A, B, C, and D. Don't worry about piece E right now. That's the diamond plate. We're going to put that on later. So for now, just cut out pieces A, B, C, and D. A couple things to note before you run off and do that. So all of these are going to be cut with angles at each end. It's going to specify in your blueprint what angles and what lengths to cut these exactly depending on your model. But a couple things to note is you're going to always want to have the seam. So there's always going to be a long side and a short side when you cut your two angles. You're always going to want to have the seam on the short side because that's going to be the inside edge of your headache rack. So then it'll be invisible on your final product. So pause the video, go cut your pieces, take your time, make sure your seam's always going to be on the inside. And then once you got that done, come on back and we will just go over a quick inventory of the pieces you should have, followed by tack welding this thing together. Once you got your pieces cut out, I'm just going to go over a quick inventory of what you should have. So you should have your two-piece A's, which are the outside bottom pieces of your headache racks. They should have a 15-degree angle on the bottom side and an 18.5-degree angle on the top side. You should have two of those. They should be opposite of each other, and the seam should be on the inside of both of them. So if I turn these towards you, the seam is on the inside of both of these. You should have two of those. You should have two-piece B's. These are your corner pieces, 18.5-degree angles on each end, opposite of each other. Seam should be on the inside. You should have one piece C, which is your top piece. Seams on the inside. Whoops. 18.5-degree angles at each end. And then finally your piece D. This should have two 15-degree angles at each end, opposite of each other. The seam should be on the inside, but this one's not going to matter too much. Basically, if you look at your diagram, this piece is the cross member in the center that our diamond plate is going to be welded against once we add that. So at this point, you should have all 6 of these pieces cut out and ready to go. One last thing we got to do before we tack weld our frame together for our headache rack is we need to prep it for all our wiring and marker holes. So I'm just going to go over that real fast. You should already have all your headache rack pieces cut out, but so the first thing we're going to do, this is my piece A. There's 2 of these, and if you want to have a marker light on the cab rack, which I only have 1, if you want to have up to 3, 5, it doesn't really matter, up to you. I like to put 1 on the cab rack, and I like to put it 2 inches. So you can see this hole here. This hole is 2 inches on center from the top corner of my piece A. So this is the 18.75-degree cut side up here. This is going to be the bottom of the rack down here, and so this is the top side. So you need a marker hole. This is the outside, the long side of this tube. You need a marker hole there, and also obviously on the other side as well. If you want to add, if you want to have 3 on your cab rack, now's the time to cut these holes, 3/4 inch holes. So you need to have 2 of those at least if you want to have marker lights on your cab. The next thing we need to do is cut some wiring holes. So this is piece C from the headache rack. This is the top part of your headache rack. The next thing we need to do is we're going to cut some wiring holes on the inside bottom side of this. So obviously this is my long side of the tube up here, my short side down here. We're going to cut them on the short side. So just get your piece C, put your short side up, and then we're just going to cut an 1.5 inch wide hole by 2 inches long, rectangular hole, and we're going to cut it an inch in from the inside edge here. So again, this is going to be the inside edge of my piece C of the headache rack. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to weld a light bracket right here that's going to be covering the hole, and then our wiring is just going to run in there for the lights that are on our cab rack. So just draw yourself 2 holes like I've got drawn here. And then I'm just going to use my cutting wheel on my grinder to cut those. So again, 1.5 by 2 inch holes, 1 inch from the inside edge. All right, so as you can see here, I got this side hole cut, and there's a few cut overline lines as you can see here. If you want to weld these up and grind them off, you can, but this hole is going to be covered anyway, so it's not a big deal if they aren't, because it's not even going to be showing. So go ahead and repeat that on the other side, and then we'll move on to tack welding this thing together.